What's up guys? So the Chapter 2 Toa, this is the brand's joint flagship road bike, but that's about as far as I'm willing to go in terms of categorizing this bike. But I will stress the word flagship because at 5,000 Australian dollars for the frame set, which does give you the handlebars, it puts it in the same stratosphere as the Factor VAM, assuming you can figure out the Factor's pricing structure, and things like the Canyon Enduros. Now, I do want to spend some time on the specs and geometry of this bad boy. I know, so boring, but there are some details in here which do dramatically affect the ride, and ultimately, I think we'll decide whether this is the right bike for you. Let's start with the frame's geometry.
The medium bike that I've been riding has a reach of 552 millimeters and a stack of 381 millimeters, with a top tube length of 542 millimeters. The reason I'm showing you this is because when you compare that to a bike of a similar style, the Cannondale Super 6 Evo, with a similar stack and reach, it has 515 millimeters top tubes. That's a 3 centimeter difference in a top tube length with a similar stack and reach.
The frame's listed painted weight is 1,105 grams, which is a potential deal breaker for me, and in many respects backs up the narrative that we have been talking about on this channel for some time. However, a 105 gram seat post and a 400 gram fork do make an overall build weight beginning with 7 very, very attainable. For me, for this bike that I have been riding with the SRAM Force Axis Groupset, with these Princeton wheels, 30mm Pirelli tubeless tires, the Physique saddle has weighed in at 7.67 grams. And finally, when it comes to geometry, I just want to say something out loud. 32mm tires on a road race bike. If you are considering spending this kind of money on a relatively unknown brand, you are going to expect a flawless build quality. It's potentially not fair on the brand. I touched on this subject in the past when I've been reviewing the Devel bikes and how the UCI has treated that procedure very differently to some of the mainstream brands from mainstream countries. But it's true, we are going to judge them with more scrutiny when it comes to the physical quality of the product you receive. The Chapter 2 then does present a well-finished, clean, premium quality product, which is almost perfect. The Tournai carbon finish on the headset, bottom bracket and seat post are razor sharp, clean of any carbon residue, which you do sometimes see on mainstream brands. When they are delivered, you will see some carbon residue in those areas. Always check for that. If you decide to run mechanical shifting, the cable runners are clean and well spaced. However, I would not go that route on this frame. As a fully integrated bike, your rear derailleur cable will be navigating a minimum of 4 bend points, 4 opportunities to generate friction. This bike is designed for an electronic group set. That's the way these are going. It would have been really easy for me to start this review with the paint job, and I'm pretty sure Chapter 2 would like me to do that because, let's be honest, it clearly forms the majority of their marketing. But this bike has to be about far more than really pretty artistic paint jobs. But I will say this about the paint. It's even, it's balanced, and there's no building in any of the nooks or any of the crannies, which you can find with some of the intricate paint schemes you do find on bikes. The bike that I've been riding has a really, really nice gloss finish. It is very, very easy to keep this bike clean. Now, I did say the build quality was almost perfect. The T47 bottom bracket standard is a delight for mechanics, I'm told. However, the aluminium shell is a 2-piece shell that is bonded rather than a single sleeve. Worth noting if you are using a proprietary bottom bracket. The bike that I had been riding, the original build of this, which was a little bit of a shit show, did use a proprietary bottom bracket, and the spacing therefore was slightly out. and snapped one of the little spaces that was part of that bottom bracket. Subsequently returning to a standard SRAM bottom bracket, the system has been fine. So I want to say, when it comes to the performance review of the tower, that this bike has done the rounds. And by that I mean this physical bike. So this is the bike, the physical bike that was reviewed by all the magazines. So if you go and check out a review of it, it is physically this bike. This bike has barely been ridden. So when we received it, it had barely done 400 Ks. Now, I know the people reviewing these bikes are far more experienced and professional than I will ever be when it comes to reviewing bikes. But how in God's name you can come up with a performance review after less than 400 Ks, I will never know. So what's my experience of this bike?
There is no situation where I found this bike to be out of its depth or particularly suited. I do enjoy climbing, and I did find that climbing on this bike around 4, 5, 6% was particularly enjoyable. I did really like the way I could transition from in the saddle to out of the saddle on this bike. There was no slowdown, it seemed to hold speed through that transition.
I was most impressed with its performance crit racing. The higher bottom bracket, the shorter rear triangle, the nice thick tyres, I found it to be a really responsive, well-handling crit bike. Now, you guys know my reluctance when it comes to disc brake bikes, and so much of that has come from my experience with that rear triangle and the compliance issues that I have faced with that. Look, with this bike, it is dramatically better, but there still are certain moments I'll get a little bit of feedback through that rear wheel, which I'm not expecting. And that is potentially just me still not getting used to the way a disc brake bike feels, but that is my honest thoughts on that. And the other truth is, I would like the bike to be 200 grams lighter. Okay, I said it out loud. Look, when the road does kick above 10%, yes, I do feel a little bit more drag. I don't put a lot of power out. I would like that to be translated a little bit faster through the rear wheel. So in summary, the bike's fun and nimble and spicy. No, I'm not. I've got this far into the review and I haven't hit too many cliche phrases. Here is the thing with this. This is a unique bike brand in a space that doesn't have a lot of creativity or uniqueness. And if you are looking at this brand, it might be the paint job, it might be the brand allegiance, it might be the Maori heritage that is interesting you. And that's totally cool because it is a little bit different. But I can say this to you, that if you do scratch beneath some of that marketing and some of the paint job, it's a bloody good product. Like, you will not be let down in any way, shape or form by the product that's underneath that paint job. But I do want to finish with two little gripes about the brand. The first is the naming structure of the brand is an absolute shit show. I cannot work it out. I've been sitting here trying to think about it and explain it to you. I've given up. Go to the website, try and work it out yourself. If someone from Chapter 2 can get in contact with me and explain it to me, then fantastic, because I can't work it out. The second, I think this brand is going to struggle from a FOMO issue. Let me explain. So if you go out and buy the latest Chapter 2, right? The artist's impression one, like the new limited edition thing. It's literally only 6 weeks later that they're going to release the next limited edition thing. And you'll be like, oh shit, I just bought the limited thingy, now there's the new limited thingy. And finally, there are disclaimers to this review. How did he get the bike? What's his plans with Chapter 2? Is he now working for Chapter 2? I didn't put it in this. What I'm doing is down in the description, I've laid out how I got the bike. If I have any plans to work with Chapter 2 in the future, please do take a read, judge for yourself whether you think this is a cash to comment Alan Jones style review, or it's just the ramblings of a mammal talking about a bike. Thank you so much for watching again, guys. Hit that big thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Peace. Talk to you soon.